Well, chaos and violence in the Middle East have left U.S. embassies in the region on high alert. But the U.S. government is still spending more money on green energy, whatever that is, than on protecting our embassies abroad. And not just a little more, 14 times more. Last year, the State Department spent $2.7 billion on embassy security. Compare that to the $39 billion it spent on something called green energy. Is this really the right use of resources, and what does it say about our priorities? Joining us now is former Green Beret, Ben Collins. Ben, great to have you on this morning. So
Thanks.
you were
Good morning, Tucker.
Obviously a member of Special Forces, served in combat abroad, but you were also in politics. You ran for office in Wisconsin, so you've seen sort of both sides of this. What does this say about our priorities as a country, or the administration's priorities as an administration?
Certainly. So I think that there are certain times within our economy that the government should, especially when it comes to research and development money, because the private marketplace, and there's certain areas, right? We saw that with the breakout in Ebola, and there weren't enough things for vaccines or treatment. So, but certainly with this, especially green energy, to me, I think it's something at that large of a tune. I think they spent, let's take Solyndra, for example, right? $500 million of some sort. And what killed Solyndra was, Silicon took a dive. Their products weren't competitive anymore, so the whole thing collapsed, right? So I think any time that the government is going to intervene in the marketplace, it's a very tenuous thing as it is.
Right. Well, it's also a very trendy thing, which is maybe one of the reasons we're doing it.
It certainly is. So when we actually start now talking about, embassy security and budgets there, right? So I think it's very difficult to do an either-or comparison. Sure. I think the real question is, are embassies and the personnel that are there getting everything that they're asking for? If we take Benghazi, for an example, to me that was much more of a management and a leadership concern, especially the way that they're organized. So Benghazi was actually deemed a temporary facility through the State Department, which means that they didn't really have access to the same bucket of funds that a normal embassy would. So when we look at the budget shortfalls, and let's be honest, in 2010, Democrats cut funding, 2011, Republicans cut funding for the embassies. However, the real question is, why can't we have all the facilities that are at risk?
The real question, as a non-expert, is, does Washington understand that there is a war going on in the region?
I don't think so. I don't think so, and I think that's the reality. There are times that you can have what I consider it would be nice to have spending,
right?
And then there's times where we have the need to have spending, and this is one of them, right? So if it's Solyndra, if it's the famous shrimp on a treadmill, right? To me, that it breaks my heart that those things are getting funded, but we can't have the security needs at some of our embassies.
If you had a son on Al-Assad base, the base right now in Iraq, with 300 other Marines, with ISIS basically all around, would you feel confident that he was safe?
No, absolutely not. No, I certainly wouldn't.
That's really distressing to hear. Ben Collins, we appreciate your coming on this morning and putting that into perspective for us.
Thanks, Tucker.
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
very
It's good
much.
to see you again.